Ever since the announcement of Atomic Heart, its portrayal of a technologically advanced society in the Soviet Union has captivated me. With each trailer I watched, my fascination grew as I became increasingly intrigued by the unique structures of the robots and its art design. Plus, the game is available on the Xbox Game Pass, making it a no-brainer for me to check out. It showcased enough to draw me in, but the big question is it really worth your time? Although visually stunning, Atomic Heart has significant optimization issues that affected my experience. Despite setting the graphics to its highest setting, Atomic, during gameplay on PC, I encountered frequent frame rate drops and the game crashed twice. Even after an update midway through my playthrough, the frame drops only seemed to have gotten worse. While the game was otherwise smooth from a frame rate perspective, the constant drops hindered my experience. Before its release, I had expected the game to be an open, seamless world, but that was not the case. The loading times were longer than expected, and the game attempted to mask this by including dialogue during elevator rides that often lasted over a minute.
We can leave the Vavilov complex now. Labs are always monitored.
Well, shit happens, right? Sometimes cameras break or data doesn't get recorded.
That is entirely possible. We need to go to Lesnaya Station.
Cutscenes also seemed to glitch out at times as animations weren't syncing correctly and would oftentimes be at a different frame rate than the game. I'm not sure if that update I mentioned earlier fixed it, as afterwards I never saw it happen again. I did only run into one bug after fighting a boss that slowed my walking speed down by half. I had to kill myself to fix this. Overall, the game's optimization issues impacted my enjoyment of the game, even though the game graphically looked great. Oh, and it's worth noting that there was no ray tracing feature available. In Atomic Heart, the player assumes the role of Agent P3, a Soviet operative under the command of Dr. Sekhanov, a brilliant scientist responsible for the technological advancements of Facility 3826. Set in the alternate history Soviet Union, the country has emerged as the world's leading superpower following World War II. However, when one of Sekhanov's experiments goes horribly wrong, P3 must navigate through the facility's dangerous robots and deadly mutants to uncover the truth. The game is fully voice acted, which is always a plus, aside from the robot enemies you face. Unfortunately, the writing here is average and inconsistent, which really sucks as the English voice actors for the game were really good. Initially, I was excited about the premise, but the story quickly becomes confusing and hard to follow. While the game starts off strong, the plot quickly devolves into a convoluted mess of threads that are difficult to keep track of. The main character, P3, is unlikable, possibly one of the most unlikable characters I've ever encountered in a video game in a while.
We need to find a way to open this armored door.
Gee, you think? Enough with the lame advice, will ya? Why can't this lousy goddamn cable car go any faster?
No one foresaw this particular turn of events.
It was a rhetorical question, Chuck.
Fans blow cold air into the room. They need to stay on and don't let the sprouts fly into this. Run blades.
Why the fuck didn't you tell me that before?
And then there's these long-winded conversations between P3 and your polymer glove AI Charles, which become too frequent and annoying. The game painfully attempts to push the narrative this way instead of allowing the plot to play itself out through gameplay and cutscenes. The narrative is interesting, but unfortunately, the game does a poor job of presenting it. It never becomes intriguing until the final hour of gameplay. Additionally, the pacing is slow at times, with long stretches of gameplay that do not advance the story. You don't even make any decisions in the game until the very end. It's a shame because this part of the game had a lot of potential, but the execution of the story left me feeling underwhelmed. Not to mention, the story is similar to the first BioShock game, which did a way better job in regards to implementation. Atomic Heart's world is one of the standout features, offering a richly detailed and immersive experience. The game's retro-futuristic setting blends 1950s era technology with science fiction elements, resulting in an intriguing and visually appealing world. The environments are meticulously crafted, from sprawling underground complexes to bustling city streets. However, after spending a significant amount of time in the game, I began to notice that a lot of the underground areas were copy and paste assets, which became repetitive and tedious. Despite this, the game's enemy and character designs are fantastic, bringing the world to life with a range of bizarre and terrifying creatures. Although exploration is incentivized through underground bunkers offering attachments for guns, the lack of a sprint key, fast traveling system, and fragile cars made it a chore. The cameras, which raise an alert level and bring a swarm of enemies if spotted, really hurt the pacing of the game. Also, they are placed all around, adding to the annoyance. In the open world, I often found myself just dodge spamming away from enemies and getting to my next location. The open world aspect seemed to be more of a barrier than an exciting world to explore. Additionally, the game's decision to lock away weapon recipes through exploration only hindered the gameplay experience. Moreover, the game's red lasers served as a barrier to keep players within the play space, making it unclear whether this game was a linear experience or an open world game. Despite these issues, Atomic Heart's world remains visually stunning and immersive, but the game's exploration falls short. Atomic Heart's gameplay elements are built around a decent combat system that allows players to engage in fast-paced and brutal battles against enemy robots. One of the game's minor strengths is its ability system, which allows players to unlock and upgrade a range of different abilities as they progress through the story. These abilities include Frostbite, Mass Telekinesis, Polymeric Jet, and Polymeric Shield, along with the Shock ability. All of these could be combined in creative ways to take down enemies. While this made combat more interesting, I would have liked to see more abilities added. I didn't feel as though there were many. In terms of looting, players would need to scavenge for essential items, such as weapon parts, synthetic materials, screws, and capacitors, off of dead robots or by searching cabinets, chests, and drawers. Fortunately, looting is quick and straightforward. While underground, testing grounds provide attachments for gun upgrades. Getting into these testing grounds became a chore. This is because you have to find these towers that are scattered around the world that are essentially the central link for cameras in the area. You essentially hack into a camera and then open the door for the testing ground. In my opinion, this was pointless and was just another barrier for the open world aspect. The process for upgrading weapons and abilities unfortunately was annoying, as Nora the upgrading fridge has the hots for you and makes tons of sexual remarks throughout my playthrough.
Man, really turn me on.
Oh, I'll turn you on, all right. Just let me at you.
What a brute! Oh, I love tough guys.
Your protection.
Oh, so brutal. I'm shaking, squirting.
All right, I get it. You'll get your polymer.
When you get angry, yes, scold me, punish me. I was a bad girl, strung up and never just...
It was funny at first, but becomes super annoying after a while and you just want her to shut up. Overall, the gameplay elements offer enough to keep players going throughout the game, but with some improvements in the upgrade system and level design, it could have been better. Atomic Heart's gameplay is mixed. I enjoyed the fast-paced movement and fluidity. It felt like Doom in that sense. I also appreciate the variety of puzzles to unlock doors or move on to a new area, although they become too frequent towards the end. I also enjoyed the gunplay, even though guns never felt super strong, at least not the pistol and AR. Additionally, consumables like health kits and energy drinks can be found throughout the game, providing players with a way to quickly recover health and stamina during combat. Where the gameplay fell short was the boss fights. Sure, a few were fun, but they seemed to follow similar patterns. Dodge, jump. Dodge, jump. Not only that, but I found a way to exploit them later in the game, which wasn't hard to find at all. It just made boss fights boring. While I appreciate the different bosses you do fight, some just seem to be placed randomly, as if the developers were just checking off a box on their list of elements to include in the game and placed them in weird sections of the game. Atomic Heart's quest design is also a mixed bag. The game's pacing can be slow, as I mentioned earlier, where nothing is happening for long periods of time, and then at the flip of a switch, things are crazy. I don't mind this occasionally, but it seemed to be the thing. I also want to highlight, from a gameplay perspective, that quests can be interesting and involve you to interact with environments to move on. Other than that, there are no side quests here, and the main story quests could benefit from some additional polish and clarity to make them more engaging and satisfying to complete. Taking this all in, the final verdict for Atomic Heart is a 6 out of 10. It's a game with a lot of potential, but also some significant flaws, resulting in a slightly above average experience. The gameplay can be fun and satisfying at times, and the graphics and sound design are top notch, with the music being particularly noteworthy. However, the optimization issues can be frustrating, and the story is a mess, lacking clear direction and coherence. If you're looking for a game with decent combat and an immersive setting, Atomic Heart may be worth checking out. If you're looking for a game with a strong narrative, good writing, and deep progression, you may want to look elsewhere. Despite its flaws, Atomic Heart has a solid foundation, which is a great start for a first game from Mundfish. To improve on a sequel, they will need to decide whether they want to create a linear narrative experience or an open world game with quests and meaningful exploration. Attempting to do both can satisfy neither crowd and may detract from the overall vision for the game. That's all I have. If you guys enjoyed this review, give it a thumbs up. Comment down below what you guys enjoyed or didn't like. Thanks for watching, and peace.